Remaining positive when it is challenging for us here is giving everyone that time and space so they don't feel like things are getting on top of them. Because I can imagine when you feel like you're carrying the team or doing all the work and the workload is not shared, it become quite a daunting task. I read something a little while ago and it said no matter what, happy or sad, it's just the moment, and the moment will pass. So there's always something good around the corner. There's always something challenging around the corner. So just enjoy it when it's good, and when it's difficult, understand that it's going to pass. In regards to that, whatever I've got in terms of managing expectations, I've learned from sport. I learned from rugby. And I think one of the most important things is controlling what you can. There's so much out there you can worry about, but you can't control it. Whereas what we can control as a family and what I can control myself is that routine that I touched on before. And what's been quite good about it is finding a new routine. You need to create that routine. And I think recently kind of transitioning from professional sport for 15 years to retired sportsman life, I had to find a new routine.
I know athletes and coaches, they talk about focus all the time, don't they? It's such a key part in sport, and that moment you lose your focus, bad things can happen. Is focus something that is as important or significant to you off the pitch as it was on the pitch?
Well, 100%. And I think when I played sport, focus very much is big picture. It's the weekend, it's the game, it's the big spectacle that everyone watches on TV or goes to. But the focus to prepare for that is the day-to-day, the Monday to the Friday. So all the preparation, all the standards, the habits that you create day-to-day build towards Saturday. The only difference now is I don't have a Saturday to prepare for. So kind of my focus has shifted into achieving things around work. And the only other sort of link to focus I make, it ties in with that motivation of whenever I got in trouble a lot as a rugby player. I used focus to basically plan and build a comeback. So almost setbacks or losing a game is when I focused probably even harder on training harder, on preparing better, on coming back. So I kind of relate that to now as for me, setbacks in rugby were challenges. And I look at where we are now, it's like a challenge. So you kind of got two options. You either accept the difficulty and play victim to it, or you meet that challenge head on and you find a way to come back from it.
You look at some of the best teams in the world, all we see is them kind of performing with flamboyance and flair, and they just look like they're playing with total freedom, when actually that what underpins that are the kind of disciplines, the world-class basics. And I know that sounds a bit, it sounds quite intense when we talk about living our everyday life. But I think we can live a life that is more enjoyable and that we will have more freedom if we get the basic disciplines right.
Yeah, and tying that, you just tied it to sport. I worked with a coach who based everything on decision. So when you're talking about discipline, he talked about decision, execution, and outcome. So in a rugby sense, rugby, if you watch it, looks really structured. People kick when they're in their own half. They never run the ball from their own try line. Whereas this coach came in and he said, if the decision is correct to pass the ball and run from your own try line, do it. If the execution doesn't come off, do not worry, because we can work on the execution. That is a skill, but the decision has to be right. And even if the execution is good, the outcome might not be right. The guy catching the ball might drop it. So there's all these variables in it, but it's all based on decision. So when you give players that freedom to make good decisions and back themselves, mentally it frees people up to enjoy and play the game. And that's probably the performances that you see where it looks like, geez, these guys are having fun, because they're making good decisions and executing the basics really well.